Now the moment you've been waiting for. I guess the evening, waiting outside. The reason you're all here. Will you welcome back to St Andrews, Hamish Imlach. Amongst numerous insecurities I've developed, sitting on those stools. So one of these days I'm going to have an accident and slide down it with a loud sucking noise. 1974, as I've said before, a disappointing year for me. I had this farcical attempt to break into the rock scene. But I even went about saying that I was bisexual. And that's true if I can't get it to buy it, I wandered about with bizarre t-shirts for several months without attracting a single groupie. And am I bitter? Yes. I thought, what the hell, I'll grow old gracefully. Or disgracefully. Started doing... That's when I sort of really moved into my cuddly power movement, Fat is beautiful, bring back the old-fashioned handful. Spreading rumours about baldness being a sign of virility. And you got stories about the woman of 73 going to the doctor, and the doctor says, "You're expecting." She says, "I can't be, I'm 73. She says, "But you are." She says, "But my husband's 87. She says, "I can't help it, I've checked, you're definitely pregnant." She says, "Oh my God, can I use your phone?" She phones her husband and says, "Paddy, you filthy, lecherous, nasty, dirty old bugger. You've got me up the stick again." She says, "Who's that speaking, please?" All part of it. I'm a realist, though, A more true to life story is the old man sort of boasting at the pensioners club he can still manage it twice. All things to do while you're tuning the signal. And they're saying you cannot. You're 78. He said, "But I can." Easily. Past 20 years I've been able to manage it twice. She said, "Go on, which one do you fancy best?" She said, "I think the one in autumn." It's a cynical song. Let my strings settle down. And now, yellow-haired woman will steal all your gold. Her eyes may be warm, her feet will be cold. She will get fat soon as she's old. Stay away from a yellow-haired woman. Hey, hey, stay away. She'll make you miserable all of your days. Hey, hey, stay away. Stay away from a yellow-haired woman. Normally here I say, Tex Ritter must be turning in his grave. But 2 weeks ago in Nashville, name drops keep falling on my head. This is true. I said that and I had a drink sent up by Tex Ritter's widow. Honest to God, that's true. It only happened to me, Chance remarks about blind people when I'm in a sort of... like Billy Connolly opening stars for Spastics with Cripple Creek. I remember that. That's true. Dear, oh dear. And a raven-haired woman will scream with desire. She'll hug you and kiss you, hold you like fire. When you get married, she'll be too tired. Stay away from a raven-haired woman. Hey, hey, stay away. She'll make you miserable all of your days. Hey, hey, stay away. Stay away from a raven-haired woman. I think I've lowered the tone sufficiently. Oh, never mind. That's all. I usually launch into my, they call me Wells Fargo, but it's only a stage name. And a red-headed woman, she'll scream and she'll roar. She won't make the bed, she won't sweep the floor. When she's asleep, she'll probably snore. Stay away from a red-headed woman. Hey, hey, stay away. She'll make you miserable all of your days. Hey, hey, stay away. Stay away from a red-headed woman. But a bald-headed woman will love you each day. You can beat her and kick her, she'll always stay. She knows no one's coming to steal her away. Hooray for a bald-headed woman. Hey, hey, that's the way. She'll make you happy all of your days. Hey, hey, that's the way. Hooray for a bald-headed woman. And all these reasons for insecurity. I've been saying for years the fact of being called a Scottish folk singer when I was born in Calcutta. It makes you defensive for a kick-off, you know. You're not Scottish. I say, if Doug's born in an aeroplane, it doesn't make him an Airedale. You're born in a barn, it doesn't make you a cow. I became multiracial years ago. And you've heard, obscure racist jokes. Why should the Irish get it all? Things like, what killed Mussolini? 3 bullets and 500 Italian marksmen. Or the earlier ones were, who was Alexander Bell Stokowski, the world's first telephone pole? Continue the multiracial, but this is an Australian song. I lived in Australia 5 years, I know all about it. Never put new strings on a 12 string, ever. That'll do. Australia is where it's so dry the trees chase the dogs. The crows fly backwards to keep the sand out their eyes. It's political song written by Banjo Patterson, who also wrote Waltzing Matilda, which I can't do because of this fatal weakness I've got of giggling at lines. It struck me some time ago, but up jumped a trooper and hung him by his billabong. A lot of you know, God, the reason I've never been in a group, I was thrown out of 3 skiffle groups for persistent giggling. It started innocuously enough with lines like Jesse James was at home talking to his family brave, and I used to conjure up a picture of an old Apache in a butler's uniform, you know, the family brave. When it came to songs like Lay Me Down in My Native Peat, of a party with my Willie is like partying with my life. And this got worse and worse, you know. In mid-chorus, the group would be sort of pounding away from Boston town, we're bound away, eve away. And I found even on my own I couldn't control myself. So it sort of limits the chorus songs you can do because just about everything's got a double entendre somewhere, you know. My favourites are the Brewers Droop ones, you know. They'll fill you with strong drink, my boys, till you're unable to stand, you know. I'm riding down the Castlereagh, and I'm a station hand. I'm handy with a rope and pole, I'm handy with a brand. Well, I can ride a rowdy colt or swing an axe all day. There's no demand for a station hand along the Castlereagh. It's ship, boys, ship, there isn't the slightest doubt. It's time that I was moving to the stations further out. So I saddled up me pony and I whistled on me dog, made for up the country at the old jig job. Well, I went to Illawarra where me brother has a farm. He has to ask his landlord's leave before he'd raise an arm. The landlord owns the countryside, a man, woman, dog and cat. They haven't the cheek to dare to speak without they touch their hat. It's shift, boys, shift, there isn't the slightest doubt. Their little landlord gone and I would soon have fallen out. Was I to tip me hat to him, was I his bloody dog? No, I made for up the country at the old jig job. Well, I answered a call for shearing once along the Martha Guy. We shearing on Union here, says he, I'd call that scab, says I. I looked along the shearing shed, and before I turned to go, there were 24 scabbies there a-shearing in a row. It's shift, boys, shift, there isn't the slightest doubt. It's time to make a move when the leprosy's about. So I saddled up me pony and I lifted up me dog, made for up the country at the old jig job. Yes, I'm riding down the Castlereagh, and I'm a station hand. I'm handy with a rope and pole, I'm handy with a brand. Well, I can ride a rowdy colt or swing an axe all day. There's no demand for a station hand along the Castlereagh. Shift, boys, shift, there isn't the slightest doubt. The time that I was moving to the stations further out. So I saddled up me pony and I whistled on me dog, made for up the country at the old jig job. Well, as in Australia, my favourite politician was a guy called Hughes. He was a little guy about 5 feet with his hands in the air, a vitriolic tongue though. And he was a scourge of any new members. He sort of people elected by 5 million sheep and 3 people who'd arrive and make their virgin maiden speech. And Hughes would whip in with all the brilliant parliamentary repartee like piss off you big twat. And he had one guy sort of so incensed that he stalked across and lifted Hughes and shook him. And says, if you don't shut your mouth, I'll eat you. And he says, well, if you do, you'll have more brains in your guts than you ever had in your head. Was my second favourite quash. Opportunities are limitless in this. You can start with one string at a tune and have to tune 11 to it. I don't know. You had Winston Churchill, who was by no means one of my favourite politicians, but even less favourite was Lady Astor, who was violently opposed to alcohol and all naughty things. Well, rumour has it that she left her husband the day after they were married because he tried to get fresh on the wedding night. It's probably apocryphal, but I believe it. You know, she was supposed to be thundering against the evils of alcohol and kept getting interrupted by Winston hiccuping. And leaned over and said to Winston, "You're drunk, horribly drunk." Says, "Madam, you're ugly, horribly ugly. But tomorrow I'll be sober." During the last war, she decided to go to Italy to cheer up the 8th Army. And to her horror, discovered that the troops were drinking and consorting with loose women and Americans who she'd renounced. She went home and made a speech where she was said to have described the 8th Army in Italy as the D-Day Dodgers. And they retaliated by writing several verses about her. You know. These, as far as I know, the only clean ones ever written. We're the D-Day Dodgers out in Italy, always on the vino, always on the spree. 8th Army scroungers and their tanks, we live in Rome among the Yanks. We are the D-Day Dodgers, way out in Italy. We landed at Salerno, a holiday with pay. The Jerry's got their bands out to greet us on the way. Showed us the sights, they gave us tea. We all sang songs, the beer was free. To welcome D-Day Dodgers to sunny Italy. Naples and Casino were taken in our stride. We didn't go to fight there, just went for the ride. Anzio and Sangro were just names. We only went to look for dames. The artful D-Day Dodgers, way out in Italy. The dear lady asked her, I think you know a lot, standing on your platform, talking Tommy Rod. You England sweetheart and a pride, we think your mouth's too bloody white. That's from the D-Day Dodgers, way out in Italy. Well, look around the mountains in the mud and rain. You'll see the scattered crosses, there are some which have no name. Heartbreak and toil, suffering gone, the boys beneath them linger on. They are the D-Day Dodgers, so stay in Italy. I tend to be a pacifist because I feel what a good target I'd make. This is why all your Western gunfighters were slender, you know, if you notice in the pictures, you know. I wouldn't have lasted in the Wild West 1 week even as an innocent bystander. This is, yeah, why not? Apart from sort of being bitchy about the aristocracy, this is one of my favourite bitchy songs. Arising from my disappointment of Princess Anne marrying somebody else. Well, perhaps it's just that I have difficulty imagining myself on a horse. So lonesome in my saddle since my horse died. I always said I could identify with royalty better in the old days when surf riding was the sport of kings. And people like Henry VIII, that was my type of royal, sort of fat and randy, you know. All these women kept losing their head over him, you know, because he had a big chopper. I wish I could marry a princess, I'd have the time of me life. I'd never work another day, I'd just live off me wife. I'd walk 3 steps behind her, come at her every cry. I wish I could marry a princess, but there's a hell of a short supply. And they tell of a young Greek sailor, not too many years ago, 10 quid a week in the Navy, boys, was all he had to show. He set his eye on Lizzie, says this chick I'll wed. Shaved off his beard to show that he cared and carried her off to bed. I wish I could marry a princess, I'd have the time of me life. I'd never work another day, I'd just live off me wife. I'd walk 3 steps behind her, come at her every cry. I wish I could marry a princess, but there's a hell of a short supply. Now Armstrong Jones to 40s, he lumbered Jackie Chan, but the lure of the royal fortune won, as we know it always can. He upped and married Maggie, joined the royal payroll, the height of ambition for many a lad now lying on the dole. I wish I could marry a princess, I'd have the time of me life. I'd never work another day, I'd just live off me wife. I'd walk 3 steps behind her, come at her every cry. I wish I could marry a princess, but there's a hell of a short supply. Once I fancied Annie, boys, but she was my last chance. I know if I'd only asked her, should have said Hawkeye at once. Mark Phillips beat me to it, winched her on the sly. I'll have to go for Charlie New, there's nobody else to try. I hope he is a queen, boys, I'll have the time of me life. I'll never work another day, I'll just become his wife. I'll always walk behind him, come at his every cry. I hope he is a queen, boys, there's nobody else to try. All these songs are not really anti-feminist. The thing is, my ambition is to be taken seriously as a male chauvinist pig. Another problem is that my wife understands me. This brings me to alcohol again. Two things go together, you know. This is the weakness in a lot of Scots males who aren't really chauvinists. They believe that they've got this fantasy about being able to manage alcohol and women, which is why we're such a small country, you know. It's incredibly difficult, you know, to sort of fall up a flight of stairs and break a bottle in your back pocket. But if you're sufficiently jaked, it all becomes so simple, you know. Stagger into the bedroom and sort of wander about saying shh to yourself, bumping into things, and position yourself in front of the mirror, taking little bits of glass out your jacksie, getting a elastoplast, I with some area to cover, you know. When you're swaying about, you sort of sneak into bed. Next morning, the wife's saying that was disgraceful. What a state you were in last night. I don't know what the neighbours must think. So only had a couple of pints. You are blue, blind, paralytic. I was not. What's that elastoplast in the mirror then? Oh, Willie, you came home, love, drunk again. You promised me last night that you were going to abstain from all intoxicating drink. You did not tell me true. We're in the midst of poverty, whatever shall we do? My heart is almost broken, my hopes are all in vain. You said you'd signed teetotal, but you're drunk again. That's a chorus. If you can't sing, mumble, for Christ's sake, you know. It's so effective if you get 20 people even mumbling in tune, you know. If you can't mumble, fondle your neighbour and we get a friendly atmosphere, you know. Oh, Willie, I'd no thought upon the day that we were wed, that I should hear my little ones crying out for bread. But oh, that cursed drink, our home it has destroyed. It almost makes me rue the day that I became your bride. My heart is almost broken, my hopes are all in vain. You said you'd signed teetotal, but you're drunk again. Mumble, drunk again. There's one table that's mastered it. Oh, Willie, I'd no thought upon the day that we were wed. No, that's the one I've done. Oh, Willie, you're a foolish lad to drink in such a way. A suit of black you used to wear upon the Sabbath day. But now in rags and dirt, with drunkards you do roam, forgetting both your family and your once happy home. My heart is almost broken, my hopes are all in vain. You said you'd signed teetotal, but you're drunk again. Oh, Willie, you came home last night, so drunk you couldn't stand. You beat me most severely to comply with your demands, to give you money for to drink, when you know that very day I had to pawn my dress and shawl the landlord for to pay. So take my advice now, Willie, from drinking to abstain. Look to your wife and family and never get drunk again. That's attack of male chauvinist type things is, I don't know, the cuddly power movement started, I think, when all these stories about the guy and his wedding breakfast, timidly saying to his bride, "Flower, how many men were there before me?" She scowls at him and got stored into her cornflakes. He goes, "Oh, no." She gets into her ham and eggs and 15th cup of coffee, and half an hour later says, "You're not angry with me, are you?" She says, "No, I'm still counting." So, innocent country lads, sort of asking the age-old questions. Am I the first man that's ever slept with you? Well, now that you mention it, your face is familiar. Am I the first man that ever slept with you? Well, you will be if you doze off. It's got the stage here. Oh, God. You get this little guy sort of scampering into a chemist shop and shuffling about in his coat. You get this enormous assistant, sort of 6 foot with a crew cut called Agnes. Comes up and says, "Yes." And he blushes deeply. Shovel, shovel. She says, "Come on, what do you want?" She's going to have a Tampax. She says, "What do you want a Tampax for?" He says, "I want to be able to swim and ski and play tennis." Hence, I'll leave that. As I said earlier, the retreat from women in Scotland has always been to alcohol or fantasy. Or both. Give me strong whiskey, weak women, everything will be just fine. Give me weak whiskey and a strong woman, you'll break this heart of mine. I love women, whiskey too. When I get drunk, there's nothing I won't do. Give me strong whiskey and weak women, everything will be just fine. Give me old whiskey, young women, everything's going my way. Give me young whiskey and an old woman, there'll be hell to pay. Whiskey's fine when it's aged in wood, when a woman's age is not quite as good. Give me old whiskey and young women, everything's going my way. Give me good whiskey, bad women, sit back and watch me scream. Give me bad whiskey and a good woman, I won't do a thing. I like my whiskey neat and strong, I like my women loving long. Give me good whiskey and bad women, everything's going my way. Roughly in tune for the next bit. Alcohol, seems to lead you into trouble with one or the police. Getting back to the racist bit again, you know. I mean, the English believe that the Scots are irresponsible with drink. They shut the subways for sort of Wembley. And I like to think of it as flamboyance. You get scenes at Twickenham where people almost make it. Tableau of a guy stuffing a sandwich into a letterbox and looking up at Big Ben and saying, Christ, I'm 9 pounds overweight. You know, heart and tummy, you know. But, the thing is that flamboyant drinking and police tend to go together. I've got a way of dealing with police. I grovel. Yeah, a guy getting stopped in the car and saying, don't you think you're going too fast? He says, not at all. He says, where'd you come from? He said, Bramhall. Where are you going to? Walsall. What's your name? Nuttall. What sort of car you got? A Vauxhall. What's in the back seat? A Holdall. What's in it? Nothing. Yeah, various examples. Yeah, an acquaintance of mine who remained nameless. He's got enough problems. Gay choreographer from Glasgow. If you can imagine being gay with a sort of Glasgow accent, you can realize what problems he's got. Yeah. But he got a job in New York, and he's sort of really camping it up, doing his British fairy with the rolled brolly and sort of tight trousers. I can't get any other kind, but yeah. Scampering across this road, and it slipped him that the traffic was on the other side. And he had this cab honking its horn, and full of girlish panic, he dropped the brolly and scuttled to one side of the road. He had this New York cop who was like this, you know, says, hey, fairy, you drop your wand. So he scuttled back and picked it up and flourished it and says, disappear, you bastard, you know. Which is when he learnt the difference between a magic wand and a police truncheon. One is for cunning stunts. I've got so much respect for the police that I've become completely paranoid, you know. Any uniform panics me. I'm probably the only person in the world who grovels to postmen. It was on one Friday evening when my weekly work was done. I thought to spend the evening in and have some quiet fun. Spend the evening quietly, living a homely life, with a packet of fags, a pint of beer, the telly and me wife. We switched on the Avengers, got cozy on the floor, when all of a sudden, sounded at the door. When I went to open it up, a bloke stood on the mat, with a knock on the door and the night squad come to see just what you're at. With a knock on the door and the night squad, rat-tat, rat-tat, rat-tat. With a knock on the door and the night squad come to see just what you're at. Behind him stood an army which overflowed the hall, in uniforms and civvies, in suits and overalls, with briefcases, with torches, with truncheons and notebooks. They stood there wearing the doormat out and giving me dirty looks. There were policemen, there were bailiffs, the gas and electric too, the Department of Health and the Post Office and the Inland Revenue, the Customs and the Council, 1,000 more besides. They shouted all in unison, do you mind if we step inside? With a knock on the door and the night squad, rat-tat, rat-tat, rat-tat. With a knock on the door and the night squad come to see just what you're at. I stepped aside to let them pass, with a sense of gathering gloom. They swarmed all over me doorstep, filled me sitting room. Me wife was stricken speechless, with horror and with rage, when a vice squad officer yelled at her, "Hi miss, are you underage? Have you been up to anything wrong? Is this a disorderly house? Are you a juvenile delinquent, or his lawful wedded spouse?" I showed a birth certificate and our marriage lines also, And he grudgingly said, all right, mate, this time we'll let you go. With a knock on the door and the night's got rat-tat, rat-tat, rat-tat. With a knock on the door and the night's got come to see just what you're at. The drug squad man was snuffling round the grass and the hash, scraping all the ashtrays, collecting all the ash. And when he found me herbal fags, he waved them all around. A packet of certain substances, 'tis cannabis, I'll be bound. His oppo seized the Radio Times, his eyes began to swell. He cried with glee, pornography, with pictures in as well. Have you got any dirty postcards, filthy films or Danish books? If you've got some really good ones, we might let you off the hook. With a knock on the door and the night's got rat-tat, rat-tat, rat-tat. With a knock on the door and the night's got come to see just what you're at. Just then the tax inspector came sidling up to me about your Schedule Q return for 1953. The Social Security man said, hands off, this one's mine. Where's the stamp you didn't pay in 1949? The water board joined in as well. Me wife near died of shock. You haven't paid your water rate, mate. We've come to stop your cock. The gas and electricity were duty all of us. Says, wait your bloody turn, mate. We've come to cut him off first. With a knock on the door and the night's got rat-tat, rat-tat, rat-tat. With a knock on the door and the night's got come to see just what you're at. The chaos mounted rapidly. I heard a voice to cry, excuse me, sir, is that your vehicle standing there outside? Meanwhile, me faithful watchdog, ignoring all the roar, was lying catching 40 wings skipped upon the floor. When the council bloke espied him, his beady eye lit up. I'll have to ask you, sir, I've got a license for that pup. The room spun round about me. It was the final straw. With a scream of terror and despair, I fainted on the floor. With a knock on the door and the night's got rat-tat, rat-tat, rat-tat. With a knock on the door and the night's got come to see just what you're at. When I woke a few minutes later, I still could hear a scream. Me wife was saying, wake up, you've had a nasty dream. I told her of me nightmare, I was shaking still with fear. But she only said, cheer up, love, it could never happen here. We switched the telly off, we made our way to bed, when all of a sudden, filled me up a dread. When I went to open the door, a bloke stood on the mat, with a knock on the door and the night's got come to see just what you're at. With a knock on the door and the night's got rat-tat, rat-tat, rat-tat. With a knock on the door and the night's got come to see just what you're at.
Please, Hamish Imlach.
To lower the tone really comprehensively this time. I'll start off with a religious song. You doubt me. Almost topical. This is nearly Easter. There's no chorus, but it's fairly repetitive. Oh, they whopped him up the hill, whopped him up the hill, whopped him up the hill for me. One day when I was lost, they hung him on a cross, whopped him up the hill for me. And he never said a mumbling word, never said a mumbling word, never said a mumbling word for me. One day when I was lost, they hung him on a cross. He never said a mumbling word for me. And they crowned his head with thorns, crowned his head with thorns, crowned his head with thorns for me. One day when I was lost, they hung him on a cross, crowned his head with thorns for me. And the blood come a-trickling down, the blood come a-trickling down, the blood come a-trickling down for me. One day when I was lost, they hung him on a cross, blood come a-trickling down for me. And they speared him in the side, speared him in the side, speared him in the side for me. One day when I was lost, they hung him on a cross, speared him in the side for me. And he hung his head and died, hung his head and died, hung his head and died for me. One day when I was lost, they hung him on a cross. He hung his head and died for me. But he's coming back again, coming back again, coming back again for me. One day when I was lost, they hung him on a cross. He's coming back again for me. And on Easter Sunday he rose, Easter Sunday he rose, Easter Sunday he rose for me. One day when I was lost, they hung him on a cross. On Easter Sunday he rose for me. See all the people watching with apprehension there, you know, waiting for the tagline that didn't come. Well, intellectually I'm a Christian, you know. I might disagree with the people who practice Christianity, or profess to. I sort of agree with Lenny Bruce, who sort of said that any man of God, whether he's a rabbi or a priest or a minister who owns 2 suits of clothes, well, anybody's naked is a hustler. Well, my cynicism isn't directed against sort of the New Testament, as against the people who preach it. This is a song written by Joe Hill called The Preacher and the Slave. Chorus. You will eat by and by in that glorious land up in the sky. Work and pray, you can live on hay. You'll get pie in the sky when you die. Holy rollers come out every night, try to tell you what's wrong and what's right. When you ask them for something to eat, they will answer in voices so sweet. You will eat by and by in that glorious land up in the sky. Work and pray, you can live on hay. You'll get pie in the sky when you die. I realize I'm not very convincing singing starvation songs. You know, you could try the chorus. And the Starvation Army, they pray And they sing and they dance and they play till they get all your money on the drum. And then they'll tell you when you're on the bum. Usually by and by, in that glorious land up in the sky, work and pray, you can live on hay. You'll get pie in the sky when you die. Working men of all countries unite. Side by side we for freedom will fight. When the world and its wealth we have gained, to the grafter we'll sing this refrain. You will eat by and by, when you learn how to cook and how to fry. Chop some wood, it'll do some good, and you'll eat in the sweet by and by. I'm sort of old-fashioned. Can't argue a position with smoothies and sophisticates. I tend to agree with Luddites and people, you know. They had my father 40 years in the same job. Never late for work once in his bloody life. He arrives at work and discovers they got this little black box that could do everything he could do, but do it better. They sacked him, you know. That wasn't the worst. He went home and discovered my mother had bought one as well. It was automation, I know. That was what was making the factory go. It was IBM. It was Univac. It was all those gears going clickety-clack, dear. I thought automation was keen till you were replaced by a 2-ton machine. It was that computer that drove us apart, dear. Automation broke my heart. There's an RCA 503 standing next to me, dear, where you used to be. Doesn't have your smile, doesn't have your shape, just a bunch of punch cards and light bulbs and tape. Dear, you're a girl that's warm, soft and sweet, but you're only human and that's obsolete. Though I'm very fond of the new 503, dear, automation's not for me. It was automation, I'm told. That's why I got fired and I'm out in the cold. How could I have known when the 503 started in to blink, it was winking at me, dear. I thought it was just some mishap when it sidled over and sat on my lap. But when it said I love you and gave me a hug, dear, that's when I pulled out it plug. You got to face the possibility that I'm completely antisocial. I used to love, Kenny Everett's bits about, remember, if you've got your radio turned up loud and the windows open, it might cause some annoyance to your neighbours. Another good way to annoy your neighbours is to set fire to their dustbins. One of my favourite people was Ogden Nash, who did... Oh, excuse me. Apart from his animal sort of poems, he had the people upstairs all practice ballet. The living room is a bowling alley. Their hall is full of conducted tours. The radio is louder than yours. They practice weekends all the week. When they take a shower, your ceilings leak. They try to get their parties to mix by supplying their guests with pogo sticks. When their orgy at last abates, they go to the bathroom on roller skates. I might love the people upstairs wondrously. Instead of above us, they just lived under us. This is an extension of my multiracial bit. I got a request for the song. The thing is that I've got German racist jokes, English racist jokes. The English ones are generally, they reckon that London's so decadent, it's the only place in the world if a hooer loses her leg, she puts her prices up. The German ones are, not as well developed. You've got things like the shortest book of the century, 500 years of German humor. You've got to be careful. I told that in Germany and was followed about for 3 weeks by young Germans telling me jokes. Frantic to make me laugh. Not a racist song, this is a people song. It's called Men Annoyed At, which I got a request for. But as I often said, I don't often sing requests unless I'm asked. All these bits of chat that I steal, I should, half of it's original, honest. People who don't know the story, this is another one of my topical songs. This was topical about 25 years ago. It's about 7 ex-servicemen. They're going to revitalize the Highlands in the 30s. They had all sorts of debates in Parliament from time to time. And revitalizing the Highlands is one of the big themes. These 7 geezers returned after the war, waiting for homes fit for heroes. And after 3 years in the brew, they got a week's work every year beaten for grouse, but some buggers are never satisfied, They started digging up the grouse moors, planting totties, biting the hand that fed them. And the papers were full of it. Red menace looms in the north. Guilty anarchist Highlanders hold orgies in the heather. It's all very embarrassing for the village priest who'd organised it. It was down by the farm of Scottas, Lord Brocket walked one day, when he saw a sight that troubled him far more than he could say. For the 7 men of Knoydart were doing what they'd planned. They'd stake their claims, they were digging drains in Brocket's private land. You bloody Reds, Lord Brocket yelled, what's this you're doing here? It doesn't pay, as you'll find today, to insult an English peer. You're only Scottish half-wit, but I'll have you understand. Ye islands so wine, these hills are mine, this is all Lord Brocket's land. Up spoke the men of Knoydart, away and shut your trap. For threats from a Saxon brewer's boy, we just don't give a rap. Now we are all ex-servicemen who fought against the Hun. We can tell our enemies by now, and Brocket, you are one. When the noble lord, he heard these words, he turned purple in the face. He said, these Scottish savages are Britain's black disgrace. I know it's true, I've let some few thousand acres go to pot, but each one I'd give to a London spiv before any bloody Scot. You're a crowd of tartan bolshies, but I'll soon have you licked. I'll write to the Court of Session for an interim interdict. I'll write to my London lawyer, and he will understand. Oh, to hell with a London lawyer, we want our Scottish land. Then up spoke the men of Knoydart, you have no earthly right. For this is the land of Scotland, and not the Isle of Wight. When Scotland's proud Fianna, with 10,000 lads as man, will show the world that Highlanders have a right to Scottish land. Thanks. A non-violent song to finish with. Well, that. I should do Jean Harlow to try and get some sort of violent chorus. If you pardon the expression. But doing Jean Harlow, I mean. This arises out of my past year cynicism. Honestly, I'm trying to get past it. I started looking at audiences as refugees from television. And you're not watching television properly, you know. They spend more money on a 15-second commercial than they do on a 1-hour program. The cognoscenti, you know, sort of scream from the toilet to watch adverts for cigars. Cadbury's Flake. And the advertisements, you know, have always been the vanguard of artistic merit. Apart from, you know, you couldn't imagine anybody shitting themselves on television a few years ago, you know, on a program. But if the product needed it, you get a girl with white drawers and a tennis racket going, ooh yeah. A new word enters the English language, understains. I've been waiting for something really embarrassing to be advertised, you know, like a female hygiene spray or something. You know. I get some wholesome name for the product like Twinkle Twat. And I can see the advert now, you know. 5,000 horses galloping along a beach. The camera will zoom in on a blonde and a white stallion, you know. They'll have a smarmy voice in the background saying, do seagulls follow you about when you're walking? Do your friends whistle shrimp boats when you come into a room? Use Twinkle Twat. Keep watching, it's going to happen. Because the people who write all the advertising things are sort of fans of 1930s cinema, which they see on television. As I am. My hero's Groucho Marx, who once said, my favorite quote of his, that he'd been in Hollywood so long and remembered Doris Day before she was a virgin. The golden age of the cinema, when the first Tarzan film shot on location was held up for a week because they couldn't get an actor, you know. You couldn't have him running about in a loincloth with baseball boots. And there was no actor who could run about barefoot through the jungle without going, ooh yeah, ooh yeah, ooh yeah, ooh yeah. And they imported a genius from New York who designed a pair of shoes that looked like feet. You watch Tarzan closely, he's got size 19s. Bounces off trees. This is about Jean Harlow with a lively chorus. I wish they'd put those lights at the back out so you'd be in darkness and you'd be able to sing with impunity, you know. People don't sing this chorus because they reckon I'm being flippant. It's not a folk song. It was written by Leadbelly. Of course it's a folk song. And it's got a very easy chorus. And let's go something like such. Jean Harlow died the other day. These are the last words I heard her say. Yes, Jean Harlow died the other day. These are the last words I heard her say. Ting-a-ling, a ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-ting-a-ling, a ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-ting-a-ling, a ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-day. And Mama's gonna walk, Mama talk, Mama's gonna walk, Mama talk, Mama's gonna walk, Mama talk in New York. If you can't manage that, mumble your favorite advertising jingle. It fits in, you know. Well, a Mama come in, looking mighty wild. Said, doctor, doctor, please save my child. Yes, a Mama come in, looking mighty wild. Said, doctor, doctor, please save my child. Ting-a-ling, a ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-ting-a-ling, a ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-ting-a-ling, a ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-day. And Mama's gonna walk, Mama talk, Mama's gonna walk, Mama talk, Mama's gonna walk, Mama talk in New York. Well, the doctor come in, looking mighty sad, no national health. He said, this is the worst case I ever have had. Well, the doctor come in, looking mighty sad, no private bets. This is the worst case I ever have had. Ting-a-ling-a-ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-ting-a-ling-a-ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-ting-a-ling-a-ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-day. And mama's gonna walk, mama talk, mama's gonna walk, mama talk, mama's gonna walk, mama talk in New York. Well, just before Jean Harlow died, she said there's one more movie star I'd like to write. Yes, just before Jean Harlow died, she said there's one more movie star I'd like to write. Trigger, ting-a-ling-a-ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-ting-a-ling-a-ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-ting-a-ling-a-ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-day. And mama's gonna walk, mama talk, mama's gonna walk, mama talk, mama's gonna walk, mama talk in New York. Yes, Jean Harlow died the other day. These are the last words I heard her say. Yes, Jean Harlow died the other day. These are the last words I heard her say. Ting-a-ling-a-ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-ting-a-ling-a-ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-ting-a-ling-a-ting-a-ling, ba-da-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-day. And mama's gonna walk, mama talk, mama's gonna walk, mama talk, mama's gonna walk, mama talk in New York. If I avoid that one. Showing off playing 12-string guitar. Run all around the whole wide world, can't get away from the blues. Run all day, run all night, can't get away from the blues. I'm feeling so fine, feeling so fine, I'm right out of my mind. Feeling so fine, feeling so fine. One more drink in my glass, leave all my worries behind. Relax tonight, sure tomorrow things will turn out fine. I'm feeling so fine, feeling so fine, I'm right out of my mind. Feeling so fine, feeling so fine. See me now, think I'm happy, I just don't know my mind. See me laughing, see me smiling, laughing to keep from crying. Feeling so fine, feeling so fine, I'm right out of my mind. Feeling so fine, feeling so fine. Run all around the whole wide world. Can't get away from the blues. Run all day, run all night. Can't get away from the blues. I'm feeling so fine, feeling so fine. I'm right out of my mind. Feeling so fine, feeling so fine. As Mike Elliott says, to an entertainer, applause is like a banquet. I'd like to thank you for that ham sandwich. This is getting back to danger of playing Hamlet there for a moment. This is trying to remember what I was going to do. Have a cigarette. Get 101 sort of stories and jokes, which I can't do, you know. You get people who accuse me of being sort of gross on stage and all the rest, or people who sort of accuse me of not being gross on stage. You know, I come off at the interval and people say, I thought you were dirty. Sorry about that. You know, piss in the front row in the second half or something. Once again, you got, you know, your classic of Lenny Bruce once again, you know, when he was out in bail. Nah, I better not do that. Yeah. And he gets on stage, and the front row is the League of Mothers for American Decency, and the second row is the police, and the third row is Purity in Our Parish. He sort of stumbles up in bail and says, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You know, there's some people who seem to think that I talk dirty. No, I don't mean to, you know. But there are certain words, you know, there's just a word beginning with F and ending with K, but I won't say that. It's a four-letter word. I won't say it. But when I mean it, I'll say rose. And there's another word, you know, 4 letters beginning with C and ending with T. I won't use that either, you know. When I mean it, I'll say tulip. And you've got this other 7-letter word beginning with B, ending with D. I won't say that either. When I mean it, though, I'll say chrysanthemum. So you've all got it now, you know. F and K is rose. C and T is tulip. And B and D is chrysanthemum. Well, there was this Mexican cocksucker. Now Delilah was a woman, fine and fair, very good looking, got those coal black hair. Delilah, she got on Samson's mind, seeing this woman look so fine. Now if I had my way, yes, if I had my way, If I had my way in this wicked world, I would tear this old building down. Well, you read about the lion killed a man with his claw. Samson put his hand in the lion's jaw. Read that bees killed him dead. Bees made honey in the lion's head. Now if I had my way, yes, if I had my way, if I had my way in this wicked world, I would tear this old building down. Well, Samson's wife spoke so fair. Samson told her, shave off my hair, shave my head, clean as my hand, strength will become like a natural man. Now if I had my way, yes, if I had my way, if I had my way in this wicked world, I would tear this old building down. She shaved his head, clean as his hand, strength became like a natural man. I took poor Samson to the judgment hall, bound him and chained him to the wall. Now if I had my way, yes, if I had my way, if I had my way in this wicked world, I would tear this old building down. Well, Samson called a little boy 3 feet tall, placed my hand against the wall, placed his hand against that wall, tore that building down, and now I've had my way. Yes, now I've had my way. Now I've had my way in this wicked world. Torn this old building down. Finish up. With an animal song. Do zoological gardens, I think, you know. Well, you've got all sorts of problems here by doing animal-loving songs. But the British, I can remember getting an entire audience hostile. Were saying, "How do you make a cat go woof?" Pour petrol over it and throw a match. People are sensitive. Especially when you get onto animal lover songs, you know. It brings me back to my worst introduction of the year, sort of bit. I used to do that. I say, I had to shoot my dog. Was he mad? Well, he wasn't exactly pleased. It was an introduction to the Wild Rover. You know. And there was a series of animal songs. I'm leading over a dog named Rover. There's nothing like a Dane. All good stuff for sending you home back. Oh, ta-da. All the ones that come to mind now I can't do. With any reasonable hope of being rebooked here ever. Chorus of this goes, you don't know how lucky you are, you're escaping my entire repertoire of corny sort of bits like, you know, what was it? Disley's bits about the drunken Spanish guitarist Segovia Carpet. The Indian cloakroom attendant, Mahatma Coat. I could have continued with the racist bit and done all these, but, you got the management have hinted at me. Why don't you piss off the hinted? So for my first encore, thank you for listening. May God bless you. That's a job. Chorus. Thunder and lightning, it's no lie, when Dublin City is in the dark. If you've got any money, go up to the park and view the zoological garden. Oh, you can do with a bit more flamboyance than that. It's the last song. I realise, several of you are still sober, but I've been breathing on the front 3 rows. I say, they should be doing better, And now I took me wife up to the zoo to view the lion and the kangaroo. There was emails and she-mails of every hue up in the zoological garden. Thunder and lightning, it's no lie, when Dublin City is in the dark. If you've got any money, go up to the park and view the zoological garden. Now we wandered out by Castle Knock. Says she to me, we could try it on that rock. It was then at a new shoes, one of the railroad stock, up in the zoological garden. Thunder and lightning, it's no lie, when Dublin City is in the dark. If you've got any money, go up to the park and view the zoological garden. The actual rhyme should have been Currishtalk. You have to approach Jimmy Hutchison or somebody to get a translation of that, though. I can do a dirty joke, though. I used to say you've got this series of books, brush up your French, brush up your German. You've got one called Brush Up Your Ass. Which you can look up. Now we went up there on our honeymoon. Says she to me, if you don't try it soon, I'll jump in the cage with the hairy baboon up in the zoological garden. Thunder and lightning, it's no lie, when Dublin City is in the dark. If you've got any money, go up to the park and view the zoological garden. Final verse. Oh, what a patient boy you are. Thank you. Everybody knows the chorus now. Says she to me, my lovely Jack, I'd like a ride on the elephant's back. But the elephant says, we'll have none of that up in the zoological garden. Thunder and lightning, it's no lie, when Dublin City is in the dark. If you've got any money, go up to the park and view the zoological garden.
Carry on going, we're running out of time. You keep going and you use up the time, and I can't say, ladies and gentlemen, would you like to listen once again? Hamish Imlach.
The obscene joke I was going to do is the difference between a French letter and an Irish letter. You better find out quickly or you get your bollocks blown off. Yeah. This is point is you got a load of acrimony and bitterness, you know, and Irish jokes and things. This is a song. Well, the point to remember is that the Irish have been mainly killing each other. And as a multi-racist, I sort of bear that in mind. That the indignation at Scottish soldiers being shot in Ireland. This is a song called The Castle of Drumbo. The midnight hags are shrieking around the castle of Drumbo, while patriot blood is flowing red in the sodden soil below. The crime that they had left their home to fight the foreign foe, and by Irish hands they were murdered there in the castle of Drumbo. From Cork and Kerry homes they came, from Munster green and fair, to fight the blood-stained black and tan, and to dare what man may dare. Black treachery betrayed them, informers wrote their woe. Oh, Ireland, you have murdered them in the castle of Drumbo. You have sold your past for English gold, sold many the parson gold. You've cringed to Orange Carson, and you've knelt to English George, even borrowed England's armory, your country to overthrow, and you've murdered Ireland's fighting men in the castle of Drumbo. The midnight hags are shrieking around the castle of Drumbo, while patriot blood is flowing red in the sodden soil below. The crime that they had left their home to fight the foreign foe, and by Irish hands they were murdered there in the castle of Drumbo. Thank you.